Watch out. Don't be on your tail.
Whoa! Thanks, Fox. I thought they had me.
Should I go check it out?
Shit, man! Can you get the light out of my eyes? Thanks.
What are you doing in my closet?
Okay, don't question why I'm sitting in here, okay? This is my alone time.
Oh my god.
And on your way out, can you shut the door? A little bit of privacy would be nice.
Insidious Chapter 2 is directed by James Wan and stars Patrick Wilson, Rose Byrne, and Barbara Hershey. Now before I explain the plot of this movie, I have to warn you that I kind of have to spoil certain elements of the way the first film ended because this film picks up basically directly after the first one concluded. And so to talk to you about this movie, I kind of have to reveal certain elements of the way the first film ended. So if you don't want to know that, you have been warned. So if you saw the first film, you know that Patrick Wilson's character took something back with him from the further. And this thing is inside of him and wants to use him to harm his family. The creepy stuff is happening at night again. Their son Dalton's hearing noises again. And they have to try to solve a mystery from the past to be able to fix wrongs in the present. For James Wan to make a film like The Conjuring, which was a big hit, critics liked it, people liked it, made a lot of money for a low-budget film, just like The Insidious. If James Wan is capable of making two good horror films in the same year, this close a time span, he is definitely a great talent. Let me tell you something. He is a great talent. Insidious Chapter 2 is a creepy and pretty fun horror film that I had a good time watching, that had great performances, terrific stylistic imagery, really good use of sound and set pieces and props and makeup. And although the story got a little goofy from time to time, the actors really helped ground it in reality because the actors gave such good performances in this movie. It was very similar to The Conjuring in that way, where the story gets a little bit over the top and kind of goofy at times. But because the actors are giving such grounded performances and doing such a good job to sell this goofiness, you really start to get into it. And it's a credit to these actors, especially Patrick Wilson in this movie, who I think gives a terrific performance as this guy. He wants to protect his family because part of him is still him, but the other part doesn't want him to do that. His performance in this movie was definitely, to me anyway, channeling a little bit of Jack Nicholson in The Shining. He had that sort of big smile to him at times, but very menacing, and I thought he did a terrific job in the movie. I'm not saying that The Shining is in any way, The Shining's better. Yeah, The Shining is much better. But this movie is still a pretty fun horror film. And yes, like I said, it does get kind of goofy at times. The script kind of wants you to get into certain scenes and you're like, this is just really over the top. And I recognize that, but I think it might actually add something to the movie in all honesty, because like there are certain horror films that you want to be really serious. You want to sit there and not have anything take you out of it. But Insidious Chapter 2 is the kind of movie where I do feel like they can get a little bit goofy, because obviously anyone who sits down and actually thinks about the movie is like, yeah, this is absurd. This is just crazy. But I really like the way they handled the more goofy aspects of the movie, and I think that they did a pretty good job with it. Just like with The Conjuring, James Wan is very good at that low-budget, retro, old-school type of horror. Real sets, real props, real imagery, really good sound effects. It sort of is like that old TV show, Are You Afraid of the Dark? When I was a kid, I would watch that intro, and it terrified me with the swings and the fan and the creepy attic door and the music and the match. Still terrifies me to this day. That show just had like these real sets and this creepy stuff. And I know it's not scary at all anymore, but when I was a kid, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. The intro still scares me, though. It's very suspenseful. I don't know. It just... Sorry. But James Wan did a really good job creating legitimate scares in this movie. There were moments in the movie where I did get goosebumps and things actually affected me that I thought, well, that's pretty creepy. And it's not just loud jump scares every 2 seconds, because I don't find that scary. It's just your theater has terrific surround sound, so you are startled by a loud noise. That's not scary. That's just there's a boom and now you're afraid. There were images in this movie, there were moments where I was like, yeah, that's bothersome. Like, that is creepy and pretty good for a PG-13 movie too. I don't really view the rating scale anymore as an accurate depiction of will this be scary or not. Just because a movie has extra F words and some blood and some boobs, it doesn't mean it's going to be scary at all, because that's not scary to me. Genuine suspense is scary, and Insidious Chapter 2 definitely had that. Also, let me remind you that as I judge this film, there are certain elements I'm looking at. For one, James Wan directed 2 horror films this year, and I gotta imagine that's pretty difficult to do. The fact that either of them were remotely good is very impressive, because that's a lot of people breathing down your neck. And the other thing I was looking at is that this is a horror sequel. I mean, those almost always suck huge ass. And this movie impressed me. I thought the actors, especially Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson, did a really good job to ground these people in reality while all of these strange, unrealistic things were happening. And while the script does get a little goofy at times, I really, really like the way this film connects to the first film. I won't explain it or spoil it or anything, but there are definitely certain elements in the film where you could see certain things connecting and you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. And there's also a huge mystery element to the film where characters have to investigate something that happened in the past to be able to learn more about the present. I really got into that because I like mysteries in movies, and I gotta say, this movie really kind of surprised me, actually. I was kind of expecting it to not be good, but I had a lot of fun with it despite its goofy elements and a few contrived parts where there were certain things where you're like, okay, that just didn't feel like it flowed correctly. I'm going to give Insidious Chapter 2 a B. I think that it's a fun horror film, and if you like the first one, you'll probably have a good time with this one. I think if you watch them both back to back, that'll definitely help, because this film just cuts right to the chase. There's not much build up. I had a good time with this movie. Let me know what you guys think when you do see it. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and as always, if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.